Hello friends, and welcome to another action figure review video. Today's one I'm really excited about. We're going to look at the Mezco 112 Collective Mighty Morphin Power Rangers set. Now this was solicited a couple years ago. We've seen them show up at like San Diego and stuff like that in their display cases, but they're finally released and have been shipping, and I got mine yesterday and filmed this review. So I'm really excited to show them to you. Look at the box. This is an expensive set. I mean, it's $400, but you get 5 figures and you get all these accessories you see here. So all in all, it feels like a pretty decent value. I mean, if you do the math, that's $80 a figure, which is less than what Mezco typically charges for a single figure. So, not too bad. Now I'm going to unbox this on camera with you guys. So it's a pretty good sized box, as you can see. All the figures are laid out in this tray in front of you. It comes with the standard Mezco little half sheet, a little instruction sheet. And then it's all like sort of nested layers of this clamshell packaging here. So you've got the top layer with the Rangers themselves and all of their hands, their spare heads, and then their little holster accessories. Then the next layer underneath, it's got all of their other accessories, their weapons, the blast effects, the dragon shield extras, and we'll go through all those in a moment here. Then on the bottom, you have all of the figure stands, the discs that they all come with, the little baggies to put all their stuff in, and then the articulated arms that you can plug into the stands and pose the figures with. These are all obviously based on their power coins. A lot of these Mezco stands are really difficult because they have like a really shiny surface. They get scratched really easily. These are the nice kind of textured ones, so you don't have to worry about the scratches. You get 2 of these dragon shields. They are kind of a soft plastic, and this is exactly what comes on the Green Ranger if you have that one. So this is to add to Jason. Now here's a good point to mention that I am a fan and not an expert. I watched this show when it was first coming out as a kid, when it was originally airing, and it meant a lot to me back then, and I wanted to have an expression of that joy on my shelf, but I'm not an expert on this stuff, so I'm gonna get some of it wrong probably. I'm gonna not know what certain things are, and doesn't mean I don't like these. It just means that I'm a grown-up and I forgot a lot of it. Now the Mega Blaster here is really nice. You get all of these weapons individually for the Rangers to use, and then they gave you a second set all put together like this. They are glued together and kind of tabbed into one another, so there's no separating them. I mean, I guess you could, but you'd effectively be breaking it. These are the blast effects that come with it. These plug into the ends, and they're really, really thin at the point where they come out of like the where the blast originates. Just be really careful with these. They're all the same mold, and just cast in different colors. And then you get these smaller ones as well. There are 6 of them. These actually go in their little blasters. And then they're thunder slingers, and they look so good. I mean, the detail on these, the paint apps, it's incredible. Now these don't articulate. I thought maybe that little kind of like key wind up thing might move, but it doesn't. But yeah, just a really, really beautiful little accessory. Very impressed with this one. Now I'm putting on these gloves to handle the figures because I work with my hands and they're pretty rough, and I don't want to snag the fabric because that's very easy to do with these things. You know what? This is when I remembered that it's a Mezco figure and it's going to have Mezco problems. So they actually put the boots on the wrong legs in the factory. So I popped them off. They came off very easily. It's a very soft plastic. And the shoe pieces actually come off really easily too. This is just heated up with a blow dryer. I was just going to do a simple swap, but the issue was getting them back on was quite a pain. The pegs themselves are soft plastic as well. While a blow dryer worked to remove them, I had to dunk them in some boiled water to get them to go back on. I'd like to pitch a new slogan for Mezco because I feel like every time I get a figure from them, I have to fix something. Mezco, you shouldn't have to. So now you know, and that will hopefully save you the half hour it took me to get these things back on. So here's Zach, the Black Ranger, in all of his glory, and this figure looks great. So something that Mezco did, I think that the body proportions on these are really, really good. They used a double layer of suit fabric so that you don't see like the joints as much underneath. And I think that was really, really smart. These have a very realistic, naturalistic human look to them, which I really, really appreciate. We'll get into the articulation in a bit here, but those double jointed knees also really made getting those boots back on harder, because you just have this little nub of like a shin that wants to just articulate on you when you're trying to shove that plastic in there. But I've got his blaster in the holster. These just clip onto the belts. I really love the way that they hid the stitching on these. They just go down the side and then underneath the belt. So it's very, very subtle. You don't really see much of the stitching patterns on these. The vinyl applications are really clean for the diamond patterns. The helmet looks really, really cool. Very nice paint apps. I mean, look at those little silver lines and the gold eyes. And yeah, the white is nice and white. That's another reason to wear those gloves, by the way, is the oils in your hands and stuff are going to stain up all the white on these figures. Looking at the hand array we get here, each Ranger comes with a lot of hands. For the most part, he's got probably the fewest, 5 sets, including the closed fists on him. You can see he's got 2 different kinds of gripping hands and then 2 flat sort of, martial arts pose hands. The thumbs are basically just in different configurations there. Now, I thought I had recorded a bit on this axe, but apparently I didn't. So here's just a quick look at it. Very nicely detailed, beautiful paintwork. That middle piece does articulate, so it slides up and down the handle there. And then the Mastodon power coin is really cleanly painted as well. And this is a makeshift little diorama I made. It's very quick and dirty. I put it together right before filming all this stuff pretty much. So here he is with the unmasked head on. I think they really did a good job with this. It's got factory paint, so a repaint would really bring out the realism, but I think accuracy wise, these are very strong across the board. This really looks a lot like the actor, in my opinion. And, they even got the hairline right. That's pretty cool. Really nice texture to the hair. Really, really nice work on this one. So next I went to pull the Yellow Ranger out of the packaging, and I noticed that on both of her forearms and one of her legs, she has snags all up in the fabric. So, once again, Mezco, right? So I did contact their customer service about getting a replacement figure for her. So we'll see what happens. Mezco, you shouldn't have to. I've never had to use their customer service before. I bought it directly from them, so hopefully I will not have any issues. But aside from that, let's look at the figure. Snag issues aside, this is a really nice looking figure as well, and I'm really impressed by how well they were able to match the fabric to the helmet paint colors and the diamonds on the gauntlets and the gloves and the boots on all of these. That's not easy to do. So yeah, it's impressive. She comes with her 2 daggers, or I guess they might be Psy. I'm not sure. They look like it, but they're not exactly the right design. And then she comes with an array of hands as well. She gets 6 in total. I already swapped them out for her kind of tiger claw pose hands, but she has the flat hands in 2 different configurations, gripping hands, and then these other kind of sort of tiger claw martial arts pose hands. Her daggers have really nice detailing on them as well. Super clean paint. The power coin emblems on there look really good. These just, the accessories on this whole set are pretty incredible. And, Mezco, they're good at that, right? That's one of their main strengths. So here's a closer look at it. And they even have those little bends in the forks on the edges there. The black lines and the grips are pretty clean. Here's a look at the Power Morpher up close. And again, super clean details, very nice paint apps. And then another very accurate head sculpt, in my opinion. Again, could use some paint touch-ups in terms of bringing out the life to it. But I think this is a really solid base. If you were to add some light washes and skin tones and things to this and repaint the eyes, it would just be like a little person. So, the hair, they're kind of constrained to what her hair looked like. It was, this little past her shoulders length. and that's going to hinder articulation, but I think they cast it in a soft enough plastic that it's going to be as good as it can be. Taking a look at Billy the Blue Ranger, and same body with Zach and with Jason. He comes with a lot more stuff. You get a couple different versions of his lances, and then he also has this sonic foam gun, and we'll take a closer look at that in a sec here. But again, really nice clean paint on the helmet, beautiful job matching the fabric, fairly well hidden on the seams, and the colors are just so vibrant on these. I really love it. Nice clean morpher on Billy as well. And then he comes with 2 lances that actually have a little connecting piece. So the ones you see in the front there are the 2 shorter ones with the connecting piece in the center. And then he's also got these longer ones, and they come with these lightning effects that actually can go on both of them. But, it's a nice little inclusion. These are a soft plastic, as you can see. There's some flex to them, so you can kind of wrap them around pretty easily. And I wasn't worried about mine breaking at all. And then here's that anti-sonic foam gun. The connected lances, nice paint apps on those too. You see that kind of blue striping or the blue line work on the front piece of the metal there. And then Billy has fewer hands as well. He's got the set that I put on him. He's got the 2 gripping hands, the closed fists, and then it's actually a little bit more of like a palm strike, and those are unique to Billy, I believe. So that's pretty cool. And then here's that foam gun. So this foam piece is nice. It actually tabs in there with a piece of metal. That's the first time I've seen them do that. They may have done it on other stuff, but none of the figures that I've had from them. And then it starts out translucent and then becomes more of a solid white as it goes. Might be a little hard to see that on camera, but really nice effect. So this is a cool accessory and something totally different, I think, than we've seen before from them. And then we've got the alternate head sculpt for Billy. And again, a really great likeness. Mezco's just getting a lot better at these, I think. They've always been good at likenesses, but I think that this set is a higher watermark for them. Again, the eyes are like, they're very factory paint job. Like if you went in and did like a custom paint on this head, I think it would look a lot like the actor. And then we have Kimberly, the Pink Ranger. And if you were alive and into girls when this show came out, you were probably in love with Amy Jo Johnson like I was. Yeah, this is another, same body as Trini. And I want to talk about the bodies on the female characters here shortly, because this is a new setup for Mezco and it's really good. So we'll talk about that during the articulation. But just the overall look at the figure, I was able to get her to balance in this pose pretty well. She eventually fell over like overnight, but clean morpher on her as well. I'm just really impressed by these. You got her bow. She comes with 3 arrows, and then she's got probably one of the widest arrays of hands. She's got 6 pairs and then a single like arrow knocking hand. The arrows are bendy, so there's a little bit of flex to them, so you don't have to be too concerned about snapping them by accident. And they give you 3. Mezco is always good at giving you extra stuff of like the little tiny bits. The bow is really nice. The little power coin emblem is clean on there. The handle is painted really nicely. I mean, the paint apps on all these accessories are just top tier in my opinion. And then the bowstring is actually elastic. And then there's the head sculpt, and that looks like my boo right there. Again, knocked it out of the park, I think, with the likeness. And then last but not least, we have Jason, the Red Ranger, the team leader. And, just just like the other 4, he's awesome. Really nice, suit work, beautiful paint matching, clean vinyl applications. The helmet looks great. Nice clean morpher. He comes with 2 swords and an array of hands as well. We'll get into that in a moment here. But yeah, again, super clean paintwork on there. I'm so impressed by these little morphers. The one thing, I wish they gave us extra morphers so that we could have made like street clothes versions of the characters using the alternate heads, and then they could be in like mid-morph, you know, like holding the morphers out. All the different hands, he's got a couple different gripping hand sets, 2 of the flat hand sets with the alternating thumbs, a couple martial arts pose finger hands like the one on his left hand there, and then the closed fists. And then he comes with the sword in like a normal mode, and then this like powered up version, and it's cast in this translucent plastic, and it looks really nice. I mean, beautiful detail work on this, on both of them, you know, same mold obviously, but really nice paint app, super clean. I mean, look at that. This is intricate stuff. Like all of these weapons have a lot of intricacies to them in terms of the sculpt and the paint applications, and they're all just really good. And again, great head sculpt. This looks a lot like Austin St. John, I believe that's his name. You know, it's a great expression. And yeah, I want to repaint all these heads just to like really make them lifelike, because they're a little bit toyish right now. But all right, moving on to the articulation. So got head tilt. She can look up pretty far, look down pretty far. I mean, really a huge range of motion on these helmeted heads. Swivel, obviously. Arms can go up to there, all the way forward, all the way back. You know, past 90, they are double jointed, but, you know, just the sculpt kind of hinders them a little bit. And then you have swivel at the glove as well, and then a really strong range of motion on the hands. The bodies on these are interesting. So both Kimberly and Trini's bodies are a soft kind of silicone with the metal skeleton underneath, I believe. It feels like just like one of the Fison bodies, right? So that's why, I mean, look at the range on this. Like the ab crunch and the leaning back is super far. Not a lot of tilt. That could be loosened up. I don't know. I mean, I didn't want to push it too much because sometimes you can knock these joints out of whack and then you can't get them back in because they're covered under like, you know, an inch of silicone. She could do the splits. You know, again, this could have a similar hip issue to the Batman 89 figure, so I was not willing to go too wild with it, but hip swivel, can kick her own butt. Now, it's interesting. So from the shoulders to the knees is where the silicone body is, and then it's hard plastic from like the shoulders down and from the knees down. And I think that was a really smart way to do it, and I've never seen anyone do that before. She can kick pretty high forward. Back, she can go all the way, but you can see that hip is starting to poke out there in the front, so I don't want to get too wild with it. The ankles on these are the star of the show. You can get these figures to hit almost any pose and keep their feet flat on the ground, and that is super rare with Mezco. You know, because they tend to like hide the articulation better. You know, if it's something like a Marvel Legend where it's got a toe cut and an ankle cut and the, you know, this and that, like obviously you can do that kind of stuff, but for this echelon of figure, it's pretty rare to see that. And that's across both the male and the female figures. They all have that kind of soft plastic for the boots. So Mezco really figured out how to get those articulation points to do a lot. Same range of motion pretty much on the male figures. There's actually kind of a cut in the sculpt on the back of the neck there, which allows for like further looking up, which is cool. And then obviously you can touch his chin down. Very good range of tilt. Can swivel. Not as much shoulder range on these, although I didn't hit these with like hot air or anything to loosen them up yet. You can see that his left arm will actually go a little bit higher than the right one. So, you know, with some more heat applied, you might be able to. I didn't want to push it too much. Forward to there. And it can actually go like up all the way pretty much. And then back all the way as well. You know, this is very forgiving fabric, so you can get pretty good range out of the shoulders. Just pretty good double bend on this one. You can't really go across the chest very well, like, you know, because the plastic starts to hit the other plastic. Same kind of wrist articulation and glove swivel on him as on Trini. Now, the hands are actually really soft on these, so they're very easy to pop off and on. They're very easy to get weapons into, which is nice. You'll see here, you just peel the fingers back and they barely put up a fight at all. So beyond that, this feels like a pretty standard Mezco buck. Not a ton of tilt. You got a diaphragm joint and then a waist joint, so you get some bend. Not an insane amount of ab crunch, but not too bad. You can look back pretty far. And again, I think if I were to heat them up some more, you might get a little bit more range of motion. But I was putting these guys in a bunch of different little Power Rangers-esque poses, and they were all able to do what I wanted them to. Double jointed knees get super far. I almost went past his hip there. Again, that lower joint, you can see how little room there is between the bottom of the knee and the top of the boot as far as like shin plastic, so in the calf area, so that was why it was so hard to get those boots back on. You get thigh swivel, you can pivot at the boot, and like I said, those ankles can do pretty much whatever you want them to. They don't point toes down that far, but aside from that, I mean, yeah, like I said, there was no pose that I tried with these guys that I couldn't get them to keep both feet flat on the ground while I was doing it. So yeah, like right here, you can see I kind of got him doing a little smooth criminal lean. All right, next up, some size comparisons. Here we have the McFarlane Toys Black Adam Dr. Fate. I wanted to show him next to a 7-inch figure. And then the Hasbro Zenk from Dungeons & Dragons. Then we have the Hasbro Indiana Jones, the Mezco 112 Green Lantern John Stewart, and then a NECA Batman Begins figure. And here they are all set up. And again, just a quick and dirty, super sloppy little diorama that I made for them to go on. One of these days I'm going to make like a more detailed, accurate one, but I just wanted to have something as a backdrop for them because I don't like having figures on a shelf without something in the back. But yeah. Oh, and then that Zordon and the Alpha are from the Hasbro Lightning collection. I got those like a year ago or so in anticipation of these, and I'm really glad I did because they're probably going to go up in price now. Here I've added the Green Ranger Tommy from Mezco. Now, this was, you can tell they improved on the ankles because he cannot have his feet flat like theirs can. You can see his right foot is like kind of at an angle. So they really, really improved those quite a bit. But yeah, this just makes me so happy. I was thinking about it and I was telling my wife, I believe when this show was airing originally, right, and I was a little kid, this was like the last time I remember being free of like worry. Like this is the last time I didn't have a care in the world. It was when I was like 7 years old and this show was on, maybe 8, but yeah, after that it was all just, life turned to chaos and then you're just going through it every day since. And so having this on the shelf is a very nice reminder of a happier time, when I just, my biggest concern was waking up early enough to watch this on Fox in the morning. And I feel like Sonic the Hedgehog was the lead in, and I loved the game Sonic, but I didn't like the show that much, but I sat through it anyway because I was just waiting for Power Rangers to start. But I remember like drawing them immediately, being like, I have to draw them, and drawing those diamond patterns on the chest and stuff. And then here it is without the black foam in the background. I wanted to kind of open it up a little bit. I had the black up there because it was a little less distracting while filming the review, but yeah, I think this just looks awesome. I'm super psyched to have these, and I can't wait to just like put them in different poses and get, weapons in some of their hands over time. And this is a set I think I'll go back to and I'll keep kind of tweaking and doing fun stuff with. I love how colorful they are too. I talk about this a lot on the channel, but so many of my figures are like black or gray or, a bunch of Batman and Batmobiles and stuff, and James Bond and a tux and all this stuff. So it's really nice to have like these pops of color. And this is currently my Saturday morning TV shelf, pretty much. It's just cartoons or stuff I used to watch, in the mornings as a kid. That's why I've got Popeye kind of stuck in the middle there. But the X-Men cartoon was huge for me as a kid. And then Power Rangers. I believe those were both on Saturday mornings where I lived, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's nice to have these two teams next to each other in these very cool representations with their soft goods and everything. And I hope Mezco keeps expanding these 90s Jim Lee X-Men figures. I need to get Cable and Bishop still. And then just a quick look above that, I've got my Predator from Prey, my recent Escape from New York custom, my Mezco Ghostbusters with the diorama that I made. I can't wait to add the Ecto One from Hasbro Pulse that's coming later in the year, I think. And then there's Neo in the Chateau diorama from McFarlane Toys. I keep saying this, I'm way overdue for a collection tour. Just trying to find the time. But that is going to wrap this one. I want to thank everyone so much for watching this. This was a lot of work, so I would really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. This was the most extensive review I've ever had to do, just because of the number of figures in the pack and the stuff they came with. And I managed to keep it under a half hour, so I'm very proud of myself, because I know a lot of these reviews can go for an hour, and ain't nobody got time for that. So if you're into action figures, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. I'm always making cool customs. I try to make stuff as realistic or as representative of how it looked in the movies or TV shows as possible. Thankfully, with this set, I don't really have to do much at all unless I want to repaint those heads. Coming up on the channel, I'm going to be making some of my own heads. I finally got a 3D printer and a sculpting program, so I'm going to be sharing some of that stuff coming up soon. More reviews, more customs, more vehicle stuff. It's always happening here. So if you'd be so kind just to hang out for the next minute or so, I've got a quick little end cap that just talks about some of the comics and graphic novels I have available as a professional comic book artist. So thank you all very much for watching, and keep your head on swivel. So that is going to do it for this video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I invite you to click the like button and hit subscribe and join me as I make cool stuff. Custom figures, dioramas, vehicles to go with the figures. I review new stuff that I get on the channel. If you're looking for other ways to support this, I've got t-shirts available. My Head on Swivel shirt, as well as several other action figure and comic book themed shirts, are available in my Redbubble shop. If you've never used Redbubble, it's pretty great. You pick the color shirt, the style, and the design you want, and they ship it right to you. Now, if you're not a t-shirt person, but you like comics, I've got several comics and graphic novels available, namely my books High Crimes, Count, and Retroactive. High Crimes is kind of Breaking Bad meets Cliffhanger. Retroactive is like James Bond meets Groundhog Day, and Count is my sci-fi reimagining of the Count of Monte Cristo. Think kind of a, John Wick meets Batman meets Zorro. It's a cool story with swashbuckling action and sword fights and vehicle chases, and it's about redemption, revenge, and revolution. So those are all available at your local comic shop, bookstore, or at the links in the description below. So to everyone who's picked up a shirt already or one of my books, thank you so much. It means the absolute world to me. So that is going to do it for this one. Until next time, keep your head on swivel.